What's up, YouTubers? It's me, Johnny. Just having a beer today. Anyhow, I just got done watching an interesting video on Jayanant Bendari, and he's talking about B1. I forget the visas, but the visas for the Indians who come into the United States. And towards the end of the video, he made an interesting comment on how a lot of the resumes, CVs for Indians are totally fake, and how most American companies recognize that and don't do much about it and don't talk about it. It's a really fascinating discussion how bad things are getting in the US. It's kind of shocking because in the Asia and in Latin America, you can get a fake university degree from when I mean fake, I don't mean like a piece of paper. I mean everything's registered in the computer. You can get transcripts from one of the finest universities in, I'll just say, Guatemala. And in Asia, like, there's a university in Asia, I won't say where, but it's not where I'm at now, but you can get a university from the top 3 universities, and not Philippines, but you can use that. You can get a transcript, everything, to get jobs here in Asia, and that's what a lot of people do. Anyways, I was just comparing that in my mind to what's going on in the United States, because Giant was just saying more and more companies are running into the problem where their job applicants aren't really qualified, and just made me chuckle that, because he said basically what people don't want to talk about. There was an airline that fell out of the sky that used software from India, and what no one really wants to say is that software was outsourced to India, and that's the reason the plane fell out of the sky. And it reminded me, there's a lady in the employment department where, you know, I forget what they call that, but who was just basically telling me the same thing. They hire a lot of people now who aren't really qualified and don't have any qualifications, but they hire them nevertheless because of what the law says, and that's why a lot of bad things happen nowadays. So it got me to thinking of what my stepmom told me, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. They had to fire someone who made like $120,000, $130,000, $140,000 a year income because they couldn't read. It's really, when I think about it, it's amazing how far things have gotten worse. Things are going to the dogs, so to speak, in the United States, and we still don't acknowledge it. And the interviewer who's interviewing Giant was just making an observation that he talks to, I don't know if it's Fortune 100, but a lot of tech companies in California, and they totally recognize the problem, but they can't really talk about it. So they have to oftentimes redo all the work they do. So it's very fascinating to hear that happen. And it's quite a waste of time and capital. Anyhow, the gist of it was Giant wound up saying the reason Japan, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan works so well in China is because they don't really let a lot of foreigners come in, and they don't let foreigners stay and get passports and vote, which I thought was funny because you can't really say that in the United States or Canada. And Jayanant Bendari is from Canada, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, just interesting thoughts. Things in the US and in Europe are going to hell in a handbasket, and we can't talk about it. We all know it's happening, and everyone's kind of making their plan B. By everyone, I even mean I just hear more and more people, and I'm on not Facebook, I'm on Twitter, financial Twitter, and more people are connecting the dots and having plan Bs, which is totally fascinating. So it's going to be an interesting next 6 months to 1 year to see how all this unwinds, because I think we're going into a really bad depression. So I'm basically sitting it out in TLT and gold miners and gold and silver miners, etc., and other things. But anyways, just a few thoughts on what's going on in the world, and I haven't even talked about the homeless. I just keep seeing more and more murders in the US. I was talking to my mom about it last night. There's just a lot more murders now, and I'm hearing people talk about, like, they go out to get a gas tank and like a pizza, and it's like over $50. There's a lot of people unhappy with how much really real basic things cost, and it's very, very interesting, to say the least. And people ask me if it's cheap here. Yeah, rents are cheap. Food's cheaper than the U.S., but not by a lot. But it depends. Like eating out is way cheaper than the U.S., but that's true of most countries, and that's just because labor is so cheap. But a lot of the commodities are, well, no, I was gonna say commodities are the same price, but that's not even true. Beef prices are even cheaper here, although you can get beef from Australia and New Zealand, other countries, even the U.S. Like almost everything's imported here. So if you want stuff that's made and grown in the U.S., you can get it here. It won't be cheap though, but locally made stuff, yeah, you get here cheap. Anyways, that's it for now. Leave a comment on what you think about all this stuff going to hell in a handbasket.